I did not eat or drink for 24 hours because I did not want to have to go. So, and that's just the truth, because like I said, when you're a girl and you're doing a guy thing, you kind of pick your limitations, And so, but that was my first experience. Was they played jokes on me and pranks on me and scared the heebie-jeebies out of me because they were trying. And I remember the management said, "Look, you're going to have to girl down. Just man up and girl down." And so I put on the uniform. Man up
and girl down. Yeah. Love it. Hello, and welcome to Storytelling for Business, the podcast that helps you build better customer relationships by telling stories your clients want to hear. I'm Katie Flamman. I'm a voice actor and broadcaster specialising in corporate storytelling. That means I work with all kinds of companies all over the world, helping them to share brand stories, business developments, and information about their new products and services. So what's this podcast all about then? Well, I notice that some of the scripts I record are super powerful. I just know my client's audience will really resonate with the words I've been asked to say. And even if it's not good news, they'll pay attention and absorb the message. But other scripts, I'm less convinced. So I was curious about how you can guarantee your business marketing will be a success story. So I started this podcast to try and find out and to help. And if you're a regular here, you'll know it's got a lot to do with your storytelling. So I'm picking the brains of storytelling experts and chatting to fascinating business owners who use storytelling in their marketing. And of course, you get to listen in and learn alongside me. And today's guest has got a lot of stories. Lisa Ward is a business strategist with nearly 40 years of experience in operations, HR, and organisational development. She's a former councilwoman and zoning commissioner, Alabama Senate candidate. She's all about making a difference in the world and championing rural communities, and that's evident in her role as president and board member of H2O Energy USA, leading efforts to repurpose abandoned coal mines into energy storage sites using hydroelectric power. It's pretty epic. We're going to find out all about it. Lisa herself, rather like the water, never stands still. I first came across her because of her enthusiastic support for this podcast, and it's so brilliant that she's joining us as my guest today. So I'm going to stop talking as if you're not here, Lisa, and let's jump in. Lisa Ward, welcome to Storytelling for Business.
Thank you. Thank you. It's so good to be able to connect with you right now. And we've been doing this back and forth on LinkedIn for a while. So it's great to have an interactive conversation.
Yeah, isn't it just? There's sometimes you have to, if you can't do in person in the room, sometimes you have to take it out of typing and actually have a proper chat. So it's brilliant to have you here. Okay. The only thing that's certain is change in life. I read out a lot of things that you do. You juggle a lot of balls in your life. So which story should we start with?
Probably the true story. It's exactly what you said. We evolve and we grow and we change and we adapt. And I think that the joke that people often say about me is I'm like a spider. I'm versatile. I can go in any direction, anytime. But I like to lean into the directions that have my passions, the things that matter the most to me. And oftentimes when I'm doing something or changing what I'm doing, because I have changed a lot of things throughout the course of my life, my passions have moved, not many of them, but the ones that have moved has been because my why has been big enough. And usually it always goes back to my children and my grandchildren, their future. What is it that I can do that can make a difference to affect their future? And I've always had pretty much of a conviction that those before me fought really hard so I could have the things that I had when I was raising my kids. And so it's kind of like my pay it forward to the future to do my part here and now. And if I'm not real passionate about it, it's hard to embrace and stick with it. But if it's something that I believe in, I'll swim against the grain every time. I will just go against the current and I'll stand by myself if I believe in it. And there's just a couple things out there that I really believe in. And I find little pockets in the world that I can insert myself to do those things. It's not very glamorous. I get down there and I grind with the rest of them. Yeah. But it's where my passion is.
Yeah. So you want to make the world a better place, which is brilliant. I mean, who doesn't want to make the world a better place for their kids and their grandchildren? But not everybody is actually trying to make a tangible difference. You know, there's people say, yeah, well, I want to earn enough money so I can pass on some money, or I want to take them on an amazing holiday. But you are literally trying to save the planet.
You are trying. I think that it's a hard thing, but it all starts in our backyards. And if we would all come back home to where we are, it starts with having a good family. If you be the friend you can't find, be the parent you didn't have. Those kinds of things. Work in the neighborhood that doesn't have. When you have the story of the haves and the have-nots, we pretty much have so many people in our world globally and in our backyards that don't have. And we forget about those, especially if we live in the city. We forget about those rural communities. Or, if we have two of something, we don't think about giving one away. It's like it's never enough. And I come from a blue collar background, born and bred from a hardworking parents that my mother taught me how to turn a nickel into a quarter and make spaghetti last till Thursday. The life's experiences is what qualifies us. And sometimes we think that if we don't have the best degree or the biggest job, that we can't do the most important things. And it's usually common sense or having conversations. And that's kind of one of the things about my story is that I'm not afraid to be an icebreaker. If you want to talk about it and you want to sit down and have that hard conversation, I'll have at it. I might not say the words as pretty as you. I might not be able to talk as fancy as the next guy, but I'll talk that truth. It's as flawed as it comes and as flawed as I am. If you'll have that conversation with me, how we can make this a better place for the next guy, I'm all in.
So you're in Alabama and I've got listeners all over the world. So tell us what it's like where you live. You've talked about your backyard and your community. So have you always lived there? And what tangibly do you want to make a difference about?
This is home now. I'm originally from Northwest Indiana. And when I came down here, I hated heat and clay, and I got both. So be careful what you dislike in the world, because karma will get you, because it's hot. It's really hot.
Okay.
And
how hot?
Bad hair days every other day. Women here, you might as well hang it up. You're going to be living in a bun from June until October.
Okay.
But no, it's really hot and it's really sad. It's sad because it's a beautiful place and there's wonderful people, but the struggle is real here. We're the forgotten state of the country in America. Okay. We get what's left over. It's sad because, I'll give you an example. When I ran for office because I lived in a community where I had access to 8 hospitals within 30 minutes. But I was fighting for a district that the only hospital they had in their entire county was shut down in the middle of COVID. And they have no hospital now, and we can't do any. We've lost 25 hospitals in our state. There's no money unless federal funding brings it. And I have always been, I don't know if you've ever heard of the story, the Andy Griffith show it's called Andy Griffith, but the Mayberry. I've always had it's a small town that they all help each other. It's just a little country town, and they all have a desire to have a little storefront or of some kind, and they produce a community. And I've always had a desire in Alabama, because it's mostly rural, ghost-towned communities where people are forced to leave their communities to go into the cities to work, and they have to leave their hometowns to do that, and they don't want to. They don't want to leave home, but there's no jobs for them. And over the years, we have slowly taken away the stores and the hospitals and the schools, and there's nothing there. Well, it's pretty much what's led up to what I'm doing now, but coal mining is just part of the heritage here. Everybody here is related to a coal miner one way or another. That's just what they had for many years. And the Appalachian was where we got our energy. It's where we got our light. Well, I got into the mining industry when I had come down here. I've been down here for 34 years, I think. And I always knew there was something else and there was something more, but they spent more time, the coal miners spent more time fighting fossil fuel, fighting the whole carbon emission thing.
Mm-hmm.
And nobody understands unless they've gone underground what they go through. And I saw this, and I saw the town starting to dry up as the minerals were gone and the abandoned mines left its hole. They moved on, and it just got sadder and sadder
So the
because,
mines all closed and nothing
well,
replaced it
yeah.
in terms of industry.
And then, and I guess I've always had a passion because when I went underground and I wanted to learn every facet, I was in management, but I
Mm-hmm.
wanted to learn every facet of the industry so that I could use my skill to help that part of it. So
Yeah.
I got my foreman's license, my
Mm-hmm.
certificate to go underground with them, and culture shock. But
Mm-hmm.
I did that, and I wanted to learn their world so that me above ground in management could understand how to make their world better.
Mm-hmm.
But I
So
got to
what
know
was
the
it
people.
like? What was it like that first time you went down there?
I did not eat or drink for 24 hours because I did not want to have to go. So, and that's just the truth because like I said, when you're a girl and you're doing a guy thing, you kind of pick your limitations, and
Yeah.
so, but that was my first experience. Was they played jokes on me and pranks on me and scared the
Mm.
heebie-jeebies out of me because they were trying. And I remember the management said, "Look, you're going to have to girl down. Just man up and girl down." And so I put on the
Man up and
uniform.
girl down.
Yeah,
Love
that's
it.
exactly what they told me. And
I've never heard that before.
yeah, that's what they told me. And so I learned really quick how to,
Mm.
do it their way. But I had a different appreciation for how I held a
Yeah.
fork. When I came back up and I learned over time what these guys did, and I had such a compassion for them.
Mm.
I can tell a coal miner from a mile away by their eyelashes and the dirt in their ears. I can just tell down here in the South. But I remember holding my fork differently after I came up from underground because I know where that came from. I flipping the switch on their light or opening your refrigerator,
Yeah.
where the lights come on. You take those things for granted until you actually know. Then I
Yeah.
started fighting for those coal miners, and I thought, you know what? They don't get paid a lot of money for going underground. They get paid the money they get for knowing how to come back up safely to their families because people don't get that. And while they spent their whole life fighting and on defense over carbon, when they're not the only ones that's caused the problem, this was their livelihood. And I knew there was something more to it. It wasn't until 2011 I partnered with some people in Australia who had the same kinds of visions. I started working with them, and they had this idea to do this. H2O energy. They had this concept, and I totally fell in love with the concept because it would prevent us from the coal mining industry becoming extinct and giving us a transition. Because what we do in H2O energy allows us the opportunity to utilize all forms of energy: wind, solar, water, the mines, all of it. And when people understand what we do and how we want to do it, it makes a whole lot more sense. But it's about all inclusiveness. It's not about isolating the coal miners. And we spent 3 years trying to get the environmental people and the coal miner people to not hate each other, to have the conversation. And that was one of my biggest challenges in public advocacy here in Alabama, was to get them to the table.
Are
to
they
get
all?
them
Are
to
they
have a
friends now?
conversation. Yeah, oh yeah, and it's great now because there's a different kind of respect, I think, for the other side. The coal mining industry, or at least the coal miners, a lot of them really do want to solve this problem, but they're spending so much time trying to defend themselves that they, because it's their livelihood. That
So there
they
are
actually
still,
did
there are
not.
sorry to interrupt you, there are still working mines then?
Yes. Oh yeah,
in
we still
Alabama.
have them.
So
And
what
they're
kind
still
of
going to
percentage
be.
are closed down and available maybe for
Well, you
your...
get to a point where you mine it out. Once the coal mine is gone and it's mined out, it's exhausted its resources, it closes. In Alabama alone, there's 812 abandoned mines.
812?
Just in Alabama.
Wow.
Just Alabama. Now, let's not talk about the globe. And so what we're doing could actually be innovative for the globe if it, and there's a lot of people trying to do it. It's just unfortunate for the regulations that it's hard.
Okay. So how long have you been trying to get this through?
I started working with somebody in 2015. We did not start going public until about 3 or 4 years ago. But
Yeah.
the people before us that we partnered with in Australia, they were doing this for a decade, and they got really close in Australia. But then the government pretty much intercepted and shut it down for, you know how political power
Mm-hmm.
is. And
Mm-hmm.
so it didn't work there. And fast forwarding to my getting involved, when they came to me and we started talking, because I was working with somebody on other related projects. And this came about, and the integration of all of it was like, oh, wow, I am so passionate about this. This is a solution to a problem. And I'm a problem solver. I don't like to spend my energy on problems. I like to focus on the solution.
Yeah.
And when I saw this opportunity to possibly give a little bit of light to the coal miners and them no longer be the villains, but possibly the heroes, because everyone says we need more energy. And they're like, well, we have it right here if you let us do it. But when we partnered in 2015 and started talking and collaborating, I said, okay, I'm going to go all in, but you have to come to Alabama first. They wanted to come to America. And I said, we have to go to Alabama first. We want to dominate the Appalachia. Those are the ones that are suffering the most. Those rural communities need it the most. And everybody will benefit by it. But if you think about the abandoned mines, instead of reclaiming them, let's repurpose them. And that's how it started unfolding. And we started having these conversations, the hard ones. Once you could get past the defense mechanism of people attacking you, trying to take what we're doing and make it, politicize it. And face it, everybody needs energy. We all need to be able to open our refrigerators any hour of the day. We all want to take our showers, and we all want to be able to turn on the light. So I've been trying to de-escalate.
And of course, computers. That's such
Data
an
centers.
enormous drain on energy.
Yeah. And so I think that one of the things here that was a little challenging, but also hopeful, and we're now on the brink of possibility, and that's that our governor actually committed to a data center here. And then it turns out that they cannot do the commitment of 100% renewable, but we can. So we're crossing our fingers. Anybody listening, cross your fingers for us that legislation will see an opportunity to take and stop taxing us to death, because we're poor people here. People here don't have money. And a good example of that is in New York. You need 40,000. You don't even have to pay income tax in New York until you've earned 40,000. In Alabama, you have to pay income tax if you've earned 4,000. Babysitters and yard folks have to pay taxes. Our grocery tax, we pay up to 11% for baby food. Goat food is cheaper than baby food in Alabama. So there's nothing left to tax. And so we're saying, hello, since the federal funding is starting to run out, because our government and our administration is what it is, and we don't want to talk about that, but we all know what's happening in America. And we want to come up with a way to produce revenue and not depend on the federal funding or taxing the people who don't have anything left to tax. So we're in the middle right now of working with legislators to see what we can do about de-escalating some of the regulatory constraints that are preventing us from moving forward. And that's what's exciting, I guess, about what we're trying to do. And I will be quiet so you can ask.
Well, I want to know what it actually is. You've got grandchildren, right? Pretend I'm one of them, one of the little ones. How on earth can you take one of your 800 dead coal mines and turn it into a hydroelectric, solar, wind energy farm?
Well, when you say one of the grandchildren, my 8-year-old granddaughter says it's like a teapot and a cup. And she says, you just pour the water from the teapot into the cup, and then you pour it back in there. And it's basically what it is a closed loop hole. There's a hole on top. We call it a reservoir of water that's already sitting there. And then there's a hole underground or at the bottom. And it's the same water that circles itself around using turbines and solar panels. So if you've got solar on top, you've got the wind and the solar by day, and then it goes down into a hole or into a shaft, pipes. The penstocks basically use a turbine to recirculate it, and then it produces energy. Well, this big hole in the ground that it's already full of water,
already there,
because nature fills it up after it's got a hollow.
Yeah.
And I tell the kids, it's like having a big house with no furniture and no decor in it. It's just one big hollow thing, right? And imagine it being filled with water. Well, that's what those holes in the ground happen. So that becomes your battery storage. It's already there. It's a low capital, low cost job. It's low risk because it's already there. And then because the mines were once there, there's grids. There is the reservoirs that are already there. Alabama has tons of sunlight. There is no shortage of water. We have 114,000 miles of just rivers and streams. So let's not talk about all of the lakes and all of the, rivers, everything else that we have here. Water is plenty. So that's not a problem.
It's quite windy too, isn't it?
Sometimes it's,
okay.
But we have the turbines and we have the solar panels. So you're basically, when the electricity is produced through the solar panels and it goes down and the water is circulating, it produces it. And depending on what size turbine you have, we can have the ability to upgrade it. We can do a 3 megawatt up to 1,000 megawatt. So you can upgrade depending on how much energy you want to produce. The storage can produce for up to 5 days of storage, based on, for example, a 50 megawatt. So there's a whole lot of the engineering side of it. That's not where my passion is, because that's for the nerdy guys on my team. That's not as fun for me. My passion is the excitement and the possibilities of what it can do for all of those people that are without. And that's kind of what I'm driven to do, is explain to people that all you got to do is give this a chance and have this conversation. Let them work out the details. But it is a real thing. It is very, very plausible. It can be done. The one question everybody asks every time we explain it is, why haven't we done it sooner? And it's politics. It's greed. It's power. No pun, but it's basically people that want it for themselves and they want to hoard it and hog it, and they want to figure out a way. They're going to prevent it and they're going to hold it back until they can figure out a way that they can capture all the profit. And so that's where the regulatory constraints and all of these laws and red tapes are there to prevent us from doing this. And there's enough of the pie for everybody. Our why for doing this is about the preservation of tomorrow, because whether you believe that the coal miners did this, whether you believe that, China or the trucks or the trees created all the carbon, doesn't matter. The fact is, no one's going to lay their iPads down, and none of us are going to walk to the grocery store without their iPhones.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, it is what it is. So if we can find ways to partner with solar and the turbines and the coal mines and get the power companies, the utility companies, and to allow us, manufacturers of energy, to do something, everybody can profit. But it's just going to take somebody caring enough about tomorrow to do something about it today.
So you've been on this quest for pretty much 10 years since it first started, and you're very passionate about it. And I mean, I'm sold. I think it sounds amazing, but it must be, you must be best friends with frustration, Lisa. This.
Exhaustion is my middle name. I do this stuff around the clock because the people we work with are in different time zones.
Yeah.
So I have, actually, in my office here, I have a twin bed so that I can pop up and do my, nightly calls or whatever, whenever we're doing those. But we have partners in Australia, and then we have people here. And this is where my ability and my skill set being a spider comes in handy, because about the time we get somewhere, we get a new president, or we lose an old FERC chairman, or somebody decides that they're going to change a rule, and everything changes for us. You get people, investors that want to come in and they want to get involved. And I think at this point, there's some fear with investors because we're so unstable in America right now.
Yeah.
And so it makes it difficult. But every time we get close, there's a setback. And
you've had struggle in your life, right? You're
life.
A tough cookie. You're a tough cookie. So does that like fire you up even more? Like, bring it. Or are there some days when you just, want to walk away? How do you kind of keep
I think
going?
I walk away about 4 times a week.
Okay.
But I don't, since my office is at my house, I'm forced to be facing, I have to come back, but,
that's bad luck.
It's the truth. When you're growing up and you watch I never could stand when the kids got picked on. I would see red when I saw the unfortunate. I honestly, I was raised in a religious family background, but when I grew up and I realized that I found more Jesus in food banks and in homeless shelters than I ever did in a building, my ministry went to the streets. I can remember one story that has never left me, and I kind of get emotional about it every time. But I was campaigning, and I was sitting on a dilapidated porch in a rural community with this elderly woman we were rocking on her rocking chairs, and was asking for her vote. And she said, "Miss Lisa, you don't want my vote. I'm not going to vote for you because I don't vote anymore." And I asked her why. And she says, "I don't wake up every day thinking about which college my kid's going to go to." She says, "I wake up every day wondering which prison he's going to end up in because there's nothing here for him." And I just kind of lost it. But then a week later, I was campaigning and I was talking to somebody, and she couldn't vote because she wasn't registered. And I asked her why. And she said she didn't have an address, that she lived in a tent and she talks to squirrels, not people. And this is in my backyard. This is where I live in Alabama. And these stories are not isolated.
In the 21st century.
Yes.
Now.
And I think that is my why. I think about, I'm so blessed. I don't have tons, but I have enough. And I remember a couple years ago, we found out that 4,000 students go to public schools here and they're homeless. They live in their cars, but their moms, how does that happen in 2025? And I just don't understand how people have plenty and it's not enough, So, I mean, like I said, I grew up in a blue collar community and we were raised in being surrounded by sadness and misfortune. And it doesn't have to be that way. America is a country of abundance. We're sitting on gold and we're just blowing it. We're just like throwing it away. And it's like the greed. You can't get enough. And it's like, you can't take it with you. So why are you hanging on to it? You know what I mean? And I think that that's what drives me. But because I'm not in a circle, or because I'm not compromising my values and my moral compass, it's taken me longer. And like my daughter says, I'm still going to the mall. I just got to take the back road, so it's taken me a little longer to get there, but I refuse to compromise what I believe in. And that's the right thing. I want an economic comeback for these rural communities. And I want the least among us to have a chance at a fair shot. No one's asking for a free ride. We just want a fair shot. And if we can do this, and they will open up their legislative hearts to allow this, especially in Alabama and the Appalachia, people will stand a fair chance. And maybe there'll be hope for tomorrow for the next generation that we owe them to secure and take care of.
Yeah. It's fascinating to me as somebody who lives in a country where in the south of the country, the rules are the same as in the north of the country. Yes, Scotland has a few extra different slightly rules and stuff, but pretty much, healthcare is free, and there is
we envy you.
And I mean, I'm so fortunate, and not only do you guys have, if you don't have insurance, there is no healthcare, but what you described earlier on about one thing being the case in New York and something entirely different being the case in Alabama in terms of taxes. Right. It's extraordinary to me that's the case within one country. And of course it's how it is, right? America's very big. Each state is like a little country all by itself, and so on and so on. But it is really fascinating to come from my perspective where, and people in the UK would say, well, property's cheaper up north and there are less jobs and so on and so on. But it's not the same. It's so not the same. And there's poverty everywhere. Yes, but it's really still not the same. Do you think it's because you're a mum that this empathy and this super
I
passion.
think more moms need to be in legislation. I joke about it, but it's true. We give birth to them and we raise them. We should be able to lead them, because if you can take care of a household, you can take care of a government. You can lead. And if statistically, I'll be honest, most places where there is a woman in charge, there's a surplus or people are happier. And I do think that what we're lacking right now is nurturing. We're broken, especially in America. We by nature don't hate each other. This is not a Democratic Republican thing. This is a class thing. This is the rich and the poor. This is fear baiting. What they're doing is fear baiting, and they're dividing us so that we don't like our neighbor. And before they even ask you what your dog's name is, they want to know how you vote. And that's how far it's gone in our country. And it's heartbreaking, because this isn't how we were raised. This isn't who we are. I live in the Bible Belt. Down here is what's known as the Bible Belt. But I think that they took the red ink out. And it saddens me, because if Jesus were walking the earth today, I don't think that he would be happy. You know what I mean? And it's not even that we're religious people, but it's just a spiritual thing that is called humanitarianism. It's like, just be a human first. Just have decency first. How do you not feel pain when you see somebody suffering and sleeping on the side of the road? And it's sad. It's not that you want to give free rides everywhere. It's not like that. But if you're fortunate enough to have plenty, find somebody that you can help have a little. We have some really sad stories here. Some really sad stories. And if you can't feel that pain when you think about them, why are you doing this? Why are you bothering? You know what I mean?
I wonder whether it's because, whether it's to do with having enough time. Like, everyone is very time poor. And you said, people don't want to ask what's the name of your dog. They want to know how you're going to vote. Like, if you have the time to have a little chat and to make a connection. I mean, this podcast is about people's stories and about connecting with people on an emotional level. And I wonder whether that's what I mean, to like bring it back to businesses. At the end of the day, somebody at each end of a business is a human being. And is that what we're losing? That kind of personal
That's what we've lost.
Connection and the time? That's what we've lost.
We've lost that. We've become transactional. We're living in a time of transactions. It's almost like when I first got on LinkedIn, it was totally different this time than it was the first time. And when I got on there, all I heard was for everybody telling me how to post and how to get followers and how to connect and how to build my business. And I'll be honest, I was just going there to find people like me that wanted to talk to somebody else that wasn't my husband after COVID. That was all I talked to, you know. I really wanted to connect with people, people that with common things that I had in common that I was passionate about. And it got so transactional that I kind of lost that passion for it. And I started going back into the streets. I would much rather have the phone, like, how many people do you tell happy birthday to on the phone now? Do you actually call them and say it? Or do you just throw out a Facebook text or send them a text and say happy birthday? We've lost that. We've become transactional and we've lost the human connection. And I think that that's going to be our demise. I really do. I think it's going to be our demise because we're never going to give up. We're humans as long as we're here, right? And us doing what we're doing needs to be, our whys need to be big enough. I don't know how else to say it except our whys, why we're here just needs to be big enough. And why we do the things we do needs to be big enough. And if your why isn't good enough for doing the things you're doing, stop doing them. That's why it's taken me so long with this, because I want it to be the right way and I want it to be with the right people. Anybody can hand us some money and say, I'll invest. But if you've got the wrong motive behind why you're doing it, it's not going to sustain itself.
And that's the case with whatever you're doing, isn't it? If you're starting a new diet and you're not passionate about it, and your reasoning is because you just want to look good in 6 weeks' time for a party, and not because you want to change your life and be more healthy and be able to run after your children. You know, it's got to be real, and it's got to be sustainable, and it's got to be from a real place of genuine care, I think, and empathy or
Empathy.
a
We need
proper
more of it.
why, a proper capital letters why. And in business, I'm interested to know really what you've done a lot of different jobs, and you're doing what you're doing now. You're slogging away at it. You're disillusioned with kind of, you know, social media and all of that. So you're getting out and talking to real people. And how does that make you feel? Does it make you feel like
Alive.
You're making progress?
It makes me feel alive. You know, text messaging doesn't give you body language. It doesn't give you tone. It doesn't give you the affection. I like looking people in the eye and seeing when their eyebrows raise up, then they're interested, they're engaged, you know. Yeah. I like for people to know why I'm doing this, but I have to have human touch. I have to have that real, and sadly, people are not flying anymore, so I probably won't get over to see you anytime soon. But I do like that. I mean, to me, it's important. It stimulates. It does something for you. And I do believe that that's how it was intended to begin with. You know, we don't put down our phones like we need to. We have a rule in my house because we had one Thanksgiving, we were sitting there and there was 11 people in my house. They were all on phones. Next thing I know, I realized they're all laughing, and I thought they were laughing while I was cooking, and they were laughing because they were posting to each other on Facebook in my living room. And I was like, that's it, it's over. But that's how far it's gone, you know? Yeah.
Yeah, we have a no phones at the table rule in my house for exactly that reason. It is mad, and
it is.
And I think it's really brilliant that you are this dynamic, young businesswoman, but with a family and with kids and with grandchildren.
I wish I were young.
You are because you're young in terms of your outlook, your passion, your energy, and you've got 2 generations behind you who totally understand what you're doing, and kind of, you said they're your why, right? They're spurring you on, and all the time that you've got the energy to do it, that's massively inspiring to people.
Well, it wasn't always that way. I mean, I've had a lot of setbacks. You know, like I said, I even went through a potential after 40 years. I almost, lost a marriage, and my passions and the things that I did, it's all real. And I'm not afraid to talk about it. I don't want to bleed all over everybody, but we're not alone. We're not isolated. And if more people knew, there would be more, I think, sympathy and compassion, because we all go through the same struggles. And a lot of times it's pressure. It's the business pressure. It's the idea of what defines success. And I think that adds a lot to the table. And a lot of that burden, we carry that baggage with us. And I did it. I couldn't find my priorities because I wanted this and that. And as a woman, it's hard to have both because there's more on us than them. That's just the truth. And we juggle more. And we want both this and that. So to have that, you work extra and you feel deeper and you hurt more.
So how do you define success? What's success for you?
You don't. Honestly, you don't define it because it changes, I think. I think our level of success and, what might be successful to me might be that I didn't crave chocolate today. That's successful, But then it's, did I pay all my bills with one paycheck? And it's, did that kid that I raised who taught to do, a certain thing, when a challenge came their way, were they successful and did they make the right choice? So it's like, it's something that can't really be defined. It's just so big and broad. And I think that that's a word that I don't use much because every single day changes for me. Yeah. And when I wake up in the morning, it's not the same conversation in my head as it is when I lay my head down at night.
Yeah.
So I don't know. You'd have to ask somebody else that one.
I think that's a great answer though, because it's it's very easy to say success is, or a successful person is. And like you said, it moves, it fluctuates from one day to the
Yeah, it's
next,
very fluid.
from 1 minute to the next, from one interaction with one human to the next. Like if you
Right.
can get your kid to eat the broccoli, that's a success.
You won.
Yeah, I mean, right. so yeah, I think that's really important to actually say. And I want to come back to your spider analogy, because not many people would be very pleased to be called a spider, I don't think.
It's better than dragonfly. I've been called that too.
Have you? Okay.
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Because I hover over sewer water. And I said they also bite the heads off prey.
Yeah, and eat their prey. Don't they eat? Yeah. Okay. Well, maybe that's praying mantis.
Spider.
Okay, we won't go there. But I was thinking about a web and how spiders feel the vibration, and it's not about necessarily catching and ensnaring and then eating. It's about connecting from one side of. Sometimes spider webs go a really long way.
Especially in Alabama.
Well, and here I'm doing a lot of watering in my garden at the moment, and that thing where you bend down with your watering can and you got a face full of spider web. It's really horrible. But those webs go from one tree over here to the gatepost over here, and
the speed that they do it.
Yeah.
You knock it down and it's back in 12 hours or less.
Yeah. So I think actually I think it's quite a nice kind of badge of honor to have that ability to create something out of nothing, or out of your bum, if you like, to connect things that are really far apart and bring them together, to keep remaking. I really like it. So
what kind of spider should I be?
Well, an agile one, a very, what kind of spider? I don't know. I don't think it matters. I think you can change your spider depending on the circumstances. Sometimes you might need to bite somebody.
Yeah.
But
well, the reach is so far. Maybe I'm just a daddy long leg. But it's sometimes there's days when I wake up and I think maybe I'm not supposed to be doing this. And then something happens and I'm like, no, I have to do this. I'm driven to do this. And maybe I'm just the person that plows up the land and somebody else comes along and plants the seed. And maybe this is what I'm supposed to be doing until then. I'm waiting for the right person to come along that says, I see your vision. I share your vision. Let's do this. We've had investors come and go, and we've, have a couple of them that have stuck. But at the end of the day, until the government sees what we're trying to do and wants to do the right thing and, put the pride aside, put the power aside and say, how do we help you make this happen? And it could happen for everybody, a lot of people, and it can be a global thing. But the powers that be.
You just need somebody to take a risk, don't you? Or to in their eyes.
Well, I'm hoping that Alabama legislation, this is election year or election cycle, and I'm hoping that there's enough of them who see the vision, who want more, because with federal funding going away, our dependency on it is going to constrain us. Seventh largest, we're the seventh highest recipient in the nation for receiving federal funding.
Right.
And sadly, we probably, if there was an earthquake, Alabama could self-sustain itself just by all of the natural resources we have here that we don't take advantage of and we don't capitalize and utilize. If Bubba's Bubba would quit getting elected to Bubba's agency, maybe some of these smart, intelligent people could actually take advantage of the God-given benefits that we have here. Because Alabama is an abundance of resources, but we're not taking advantage of it. And that saddens me, because we should not have communities dry up the way they have. And it's not fair to ask people to leave their hometowns to go get a job so they can take care of their families. It's not fair. We should be bringing these jobs to their towns. There's enough here for everybody. And the abandoned mines are in those communities. So it just makes common sense. But I'm waiting for the right people to see the same vision.
I mean, the last question I always ask people in this podcast is, what does your story look like for the next 5 years? But I think maybe you just answered that question without me even asking it. Do you know?
Well, I mean, it's just you wake up every day and you grind all day. God gives us a breath. In my mind, I'm like, okay, so I messed up yesterday. He's given me another day. Maybe I'll be better today. Maybe I'll get lucky today. Maybe I'll say the right thing, do the right thing, or the right person will come along, and we just keep doing it. Laying horizontal just gives you bed sores. So, and feeling sorry for yourself isn't going to do you any good because nobody cares. You know what I mean? It's your problem and you're going to have to figure it out anyway. So I just keep going. And I just hope that that person or persons or situation, that it exposes itself and that it's there. And then it's kind of like that 30-foot tree out there. It didn't grow to be 30 feet with one rainfall. You don't join the Army one day and become a 4-star general the next. So we just keep grinding until the next guy comes along. If I tire out and fall over, I hope there's somebody there that heard enough and saw enough that they can keep it going.
I'm sure there is. Well, this has been such an inspiring conversation, Lisa. So if that person is out there or those people are out there and they want to get in touch with you, they want to support you, how can they do that? What's the best way to reach you?
You can reach out, lisa.ward, h2oenergyus.com. You can, on social media platforms, call Katie. She knows everybody. And you'll connect because you're my good friend and you're not going far. But if nothing else, I just hope that everybody's out there trying to do the right thing. I just hope if they get any message from any of this is be thoughtful of tomorrow and think about what we're leaving for our kids, Be considerate of that. Maybe you're not into this, but you're into something else. And if it can be a change-making opportunity for tomorrow, then let's just be cognitive of that.
Love that. Okay. Amazing. Lisa, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you. I just enjoyed it so much. Next time, let's do tea.
I think we can open the wine now, but I'm going to stop recording first. And that's what inspiring looks like. Okay, here are my key takeaways. 1, put yourself in their shoes. If you're communicating with staff and internal teams, those people are going to listen a lot more closely to your message if they feel seen and understood. Remember when Lisa talked about going down that coal mine? She said, I wanted to learn their world so that me, above ground, in management, could understand how to make their world better. It might be uncomfortable to do that. You might have to man up and girl down, but the rewards will be worth it. 2, be patient. Goals worth achieving are quite often worth waiting for. Lisa's been working on H2O Energy for a decade. She's determined to make a difference for her community and for the planet, no matter how long it takes. And along the way, she's sharing her vision of economic comeback for the rural communities in her state, not just for the near future, but for generations. As she said, it's just going to take somebody caring enough about tomorrow to do something about it today. 3, stick to your principles. Lisa said, I'm not compromising my values and my moral compass. I mean, how brilliant is that? She recognised that in business that maybe means things are going to be tough, but she is steadfast in her integrity. And that's surely something every business owner should emulate. And 4, be the change you want to see. Women can be leaders. Lisa has 3 daughters and 10 grandchildren. She's a hugely successful businesswoman and political strategist. And I found it really inspiring to hear her talk about her hopes and goals. I loved what she said about the world needing to be nurtured, a bit more mum energy. We should be able to lead them, she said. We give birth to them and we raise them. We should be able to lead them. Because if you can take care of a household, you can take care of a government. You can lead. Lisa's words, awesome stuff. What a list of takeaways, so inspiring. Massive thanks to Lisa Ward for joining us. Do connect with her All the details are in the show notes. Coming up next time, are you feeling the ick?
I mostly work with women, and something that a lot of them struggle with is actually promoting their services confidently without feeling icky, without feeling like they're doing something bad. And so that's how I got to this blend where like I give them clarity on their messaging, but also helping them feel like the one for their ideal clients, like helping them do this consistently until it becomes a habit and until it becomes normal, and then they don't need me anymore and they can keep doing that with the same motivation, with the same confidence and strategy for years to come, basically.
Giada Nizzoli, marketing message mentor and strategist, is here to help us all tell stories with clarity and confidence. It's another cracking episode. And if you're looking for someone else's voice to tell your story, remember, you can always give me a shout. I'd love to help. I'm Katie Flammen, and this is Storytelling for Business. Until next time, goodbye.